and gentlemen, let's get ready to rumble!
How do you like it? How do you like it?
That is unbelievable.
These guys will be legends in their own country, but also in the international basketball world forever.
That is what sport means. That is what the EuroLeague trophy means. Are you not entertained?
I'm not supposed to be cheering, but this is X Series. I can do whatever I want.
Everything is difficult in this life, so still you need to be on it.
It all comes down to tonight. Don't miss the biggest night in MMA. PFL is more than a fight.
Catching up on any NFL game is easier than ever before.
Looking to the end zone for the win!
Oh my gosh, one of the great games you'll ever see.
The competition is back, and the UEFA Women's Champions League looks set to be bigger and better than ever before.
It's their time, a night to remember.
The following program is recommended for those 16 and over, as it contains sporting violence, possible bad language, and flashing imagery.
is a bit of a black eye because what's the worst case scenario? Someone gets seriously hurt. Someone has like life-altering injuries, and that could happen in boxing. We've seen this. Manny Pacquiao isn't immune to this. He's been knocked out. He's been hit. He's not Floyd, who has been hardly hit. Like, he's been knocked out cold. I thought when he got knocked out by Marquez, I thought he died. It was that scary.
Yeah.
Remember that one? So
I do.
Ultimately, I'm most surprised that if it hasn't been officially announced, if it lands in Nevada or California, I'll be very surprised and dare I say disappointed.
Yeah, this fight's definitely landing in Vegas. 100%. I'd be shocked if it doesn't. I mean, they're already talking about an undercard. Sebastian Fundora versus Tim Tszyu. They're talking about Pitbull Cruz. Those two guys do good numbers over there in Vegas. So they're going to Vegas. There's no doubt about it. I think the bigger question here as well is, what's Manny Pacquiao coming back for? We know the answer. The answer is money. And that's quite a sad story as well. A fighter that would have made in excess of £500 million or $500 million in his career. He's had the biggest fight of all time, and that was against Floyd Mayweather. I always find it sad when a fighter that reaches that mountaintop, as you mentioned at the top, one of the greats of all time, 8-weight world champion, 5 of those lineal. So he beat the man that was the man in the division. For a fighter to come back now, chasing another payday, and look, I get it. He tried to run for presidency in the Philippines. He would have squandered a lot of money trying to win that campaign. But for Manny Pacquiao to come back now at 46, not in an exhibition like Jake Paul, Mike Tyson, or anything like that, a real fight, and for it to be sanctioned and for it to be given the green tick by the WBC as if to say, okay, yeah, we'll do it. Again, I mean, I like Mauricio. I see Mauricio quite a lot at events, and we always have a nice little joke and a good word, but I would say this to Mauricio's face. This is embarrassing. And again, everyone looks at the WBC as the gold standard. Again, it's not the oldest. The oldest is the WBA, but everyone looks at the WBC as the belt. So for the belt to be doing this to the great Manny Pacquiao, no, not for me. I actually wish it could be stopped. I wish I could put some sort of petition in for this to not go ahead. That's how angry it makes me.
Couple things. One aside, do want to say hello, and we are live to everyone on YouTube right now. Unfortunately, for the past 9 or so minutes, we did not have any audio. If you're watching us on the DAZN app, the audio was working just fine, but I understand a lot of people are upset. You couldn't hear what we were saying, so I was trying to send you smoke signals, but the point is, all you missed was us going on an epic rant regarding the return of Manny Pacquiao. You'll be able to watch it in the VOD format. We'll re-upload it. The DAZN app was working just fine. Not sure what it is. We're working through the kinks. Thumbs up to the chat. But that's all you missed. Don't worry. Viddal, Riley, and Anthony Cacace are going to join us. We're all good in the hood. Now, back to Manny Pacquiao. Look, do you think there's any chance that the blowback, because a lot of people have been talking about this. A lot of people have been upset. Do you think there's any chance WBC says like, maybe this isn't the right move, or any chance a state commission says, maybe this isn't the right move, or do you think that we're gonna see this fight happening in a couple of months?
I know this fight happens.
Okay.
This fight happens. There's too much money invested in people wanting to see Manny Pacquiao come back, which surprises me as well. I think everyone, or at least I thought everyone was over the Manny Pacquiao, Floyd Mayweather, wanting to see them fight again, but clearly there's an audience for it. So yeah, look, once there's money in the sport, everyone will try and eat off the money. So yeah, this will happen. The WBC will take their sanctioning fees, and Nevada State Athletic Commission will take their money as well. And Manny Pacquiao hopefully will make some money from it as well. But yeah, this is happening. And like I said, I think it's sad to see that one of the greats, someone that, I'm only guessing here, but again, made, I think, over $500 million if you go through some of the fights that he's had and how big they were, right? This guy was a pay-per-view king for so many years alongside Floyd Mayweather. For him to want to do this, or need to do this, that's probably the better phrase, need to do this at 46, it is a sad day in boxing.
How highly do you rate Mario Barrios? Coming off that draw against Abel Ramos on Netflix, only 2 losses in his pro career to the likes of Tank Davis and Keith Thurman. Do you think there's a chance, do you rate him so high as WBC champion that you think that he can seriously hurt Manny? Do you not think he's as good as, some people might think, and think that Manny can actually hang if he turns back the clock? Like, how much of this falls on Barrios and how good he is, in your opinion?
Look, I don't think Barrios, of all the champions, Barrios is the weakest. And that's not being disrespectful to him, but he's not as good as Brian Norman. He certainly isn't good as Boots Ennis. So look, he's the weakest champion, but he's still young. I know he took a bit of a beating in that fight last time out on the undercard of Jake Paul, Mike Tyson, but he's still relatively fresh. He's much bigger physically than Manny Pacquiao. And Manny Pacquiao hasn't done this for 4 years. I mean, we're gonna speak to Cacace a bit later. He fought a guy, Lee Wood, who hadn't done it for 18 months. And I can see the rust in Lee Wood, who's only 36, let alone someone that's not done it for 4 years. So there is no turning the clock back with Manny Pacquiao. I went back and watched his exhibition fight, like I said, last year, and he was 10% of the great Manny Pacquiao. That was last year. I mean, he's going to be a shell of himself. He's only Manny Pacquiao in name. Anyone watching it, hoping to see somewhat of the Manny Pacquiao that kind of entertained us for nearly 2 decades, you're not going to see that guy. Again, he fights with speed. If this was Floyd, who's more, as I say, in terms of a volume puncher, a lot less than Manny Pacquiao, I'd say, okay, you know what? Because Floyd doesn't really have to throw that many punches. Pacquiao's always been about speed and volume. Speed won't be there at 46, nor will volume. Barrios is going to beat Pacquiao up. And it's going to come down to a case of whether Barrios takes it easy on him or Barrios wants to go for the kill. And Barrios, in his fights, likes to go for the kill. So, again, I think this is dangerous. I think it's silly. I love the sport of boxing, but I also know how dangerous it is. Why do we need to make it more dangerous? Why are we doing this?
He's almost damned if he does, damned if he doesn't. If he takes it easy on him, he'll be accused of, not putting his foot on the gas. And if he knocks him out and comes for his head, he'll be accused of beating up an older guy who shouldn't be in there with him. To your point, I actually would prefer, even though Floyd is 2 years older, I'd be more into a Floyd fight, as crazy as that sounds, against Barrios, considering the lack of damage he's absorbed over his career, than this particular fight. That's how...
100%.
I hate to say uninterested because it is Manny Pacquiao and I don't want to be disrespectful towards him. He is a legend. He's an absolute legend, Hall of Famer, one of the greatest of all time. But it's like, how do you talk about this and not feel weird about it? You know what I mean? Like there's enough...
I need the WBC, honestly. Look, Marissa Suleiman might be watching this. I need someone to explain to me how Manny Pacquiao has jumped to number 5 in the WBC welterweight rankings.
It's a sham.
Because these are the things where people say we need a world governing body. Because things like this make absolutely no sense whatsoever. We know you're going to let him fight. Why you need to put him number 5 and somehow give me a reason as to why he's at number 5 makes no sense. Again, for 4 years, and when he did, he didn't look great against Jordinas Ugas. I don't know if Pacquiao is going to link up with Freddie Roach again. I guess it would kind of be historical for them to do so, right? That's the picture everyone wants to see. But Freddie's got to make sure he's got that towel ready. He's got to make sure he's got the towel ready so we don't see a beating. Don't think, okay, maybe Pacquiao's got one more round in him. As soon as this gets too tough for Pacquiao, and I expect it to get too tough early, you've got to pull him out. You've got to pull him out. You've got to throw a towel in. Because Pacquiao's going to have the fight. And again, me having waited up till 5:30 in the morning over here to watch Pacquiao fights in Vegas, the last thing I want to see is Pacquiao take a beating, because that man entertained me for so many years, and I don't want to see him go out like this. I really don't.
All right, well, let's transition over to some more positive news. As I said, I know you're very high on the guest who will be joining us in a matter of seconds. He's the new British Cruiserweight champion. He won that title just a couple of weeks ago at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, same card where we had Chris Eubank Jr. and Conor Benn put on, at least as of right now, the fight of the year. And I know that was a big deal for him to win that title and also to compete in the same stadium as his beloved Tottenham Hotspur FC, who are going to be competing for the Europa League title in just a couple of weeks' time against Man United. You see that knowledge, Ade? Do you see what I'm talking about? Come on. I was
like, you might trip up there. I was like, stop, Ariel, don't make mistakes. And you got it all spot on.
Look,
correct.
Winner gets a Champions League spot. It'll be another one for the Prem. I mean, there's a lot going on. Let us say hello right now to the one and only Viddal Riley, who's kind enough to join us on this Tuesday evening. Hello, sir. How are you? Thank you for joining us.
Yo, what are you saying, man? What are we saying?
Yeah, all good, all good. Thank you so much. And I don't know if you know this, but as the kids like to say, Ade loves you. In fact, he glazes you on this show all the time. Like, he's a big-time fan of yours. This was Ade just days after your win over Chev Clark on this here program. Take a look at what he had to say.
I think Viddal Riley's going all the way to the top. I'm calling it now. Viddal Riley will be fighting for a world title in 12 to 18 months.
Wow. Yeah. So when you say top, you don't mean top of British boxing. You mean like the top.
No, I think he's fighting the best of the best in 12 to 18 months.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. 100%. 100%.
All right. Well, bookmark that.
Book it.
We shall revisit. in 12 to 18 months. How about that? When Rocky won, he
Yeah,
said,
no,
yo,
no,
Adrian, you have to
ADE.
say, yo, ADE.
Yeah, no. Big up that day, man. Because you know what it is? You know what it is? Because I saw him in the week of the fight, and I said to him how it's gonna go, and I delivered on what I said I was gonna do. You have to believe in me. You have to believe.
You know, Ariel, that's probably where it comes from. Like, we go to the same gym sometimes, and I watch Viddal from afar. I don't really disturb him, but on the week of the fight, I saw him on the bike, and he kind of walked past me, and I kind of pulled him to the side a little bit. And he said, look, I make this as tough as I want, or I make it as easy as I want. And I know Chef quite well as well. And I was like, yeah, it's steady, Viddal. Like, you know, Chef can fight. And he made it look as easy as he wants. So when someone delivers on their promise, I kind of have to say, well, okay, you told me so. And that's kind of why I gave him that praise after, because he delivered on everything he said he was going to do. A lot of fighters talk the talk. He walked the walk as well. And it was a big stage. So for me, it was almost a flawless performance, considering the magnitude of the event as well.
Respect. And I feel Viddal, and I wonder if you feel the same way. This was the one that got you the respect from the community. Like, okay, no more internet personality, no more rapper, no more, KSI's guy. Now you're legit. Now you're a champion. Now you're en route to becoming a world champion. Do you feel like this is the fight that kind of helped, take you to that next level?
No, definitely, for sure. Like, I think just seeing the energy of the people and how it's been received, me winning against such a credible opponent. I never like to talk down on Chev. I never will. He's a great person, firstly, and he's also a very accomplished fighter. And I think that, after how I managed to get the win against him, it's definitely a sign of we have to respect this guy now. We have to look at him for what he's doing, not what he was doing. I don't mind people calling me, like stopping me in the street and saying, "Oh, I want you KSI trainer," because at the end of the day, it's a big part of my history. It's a big part of my story. But if you call me KSI trainer, it means that you haven't kept up to date with what I'm doing currently. Because if you did, you would say, "Oh, didn't you just fight on the Conor Ben and the Eubank card?" So it's not offensive, but it's just a matter of there's up to date news. There's something else now that is prominent. So I'm happy that I chose the path that I chose. I always told everyone I don't need to fight Jake Paul. I don't need to fight Logan and go into that market, even though it seems so easy for me to go into it. I know my talent. I know my ability. And I always knew that the path that I'm picking now is right for me and I can succeed on my chosen path. So it's definitely fulfilling personally more than anything, because people are going to say what they want. Who cares?
Considering what this victory has meant to you and what's become of you since, and also, like, I was talking about Spurs and what that stadium probably means to you and what this card meant to the country, were you feeling more nervous going into this one? You didn't fight like a guy who was nervous, but I'm wondering if you felt any of that pressure.
Nah, I didn't feel any pressure. I guess I knew the magnitude of the event, but I didn't fully know the magnitude until the fight was done. And that was intentional, because I'm not a spectator. I'm not a fan. It's not my job to feel what spectators and fans feel. Like, everyone that comes to the venue on the night is supposed to say, "Oh, I'm in the stadium tonight. Like, let me put my best outfit on. Like, it's a big deal." I'm there to scrap. I'm there to fight. So all I need to think about is fighting. And even when the whole week, I just thought, there's one job here. You got to do interviews, you got to make weight, you got to do all those things around it. But why are we actually here? Why does this event exist? Because people are fighting. So I just focus on fighting. And as soon as the fight was done, that's when I took in what the spectators and the fans take in, which is like, wow, like the arena was kind of packed. Like, this was a big show. This is historic. This is the inaugural Ring Magazine event. It's going to go down in history forever. Like, wow, you was a part of that. But beforehand, it's just a scrap, man. I'm just focusing on the fight.
What's it like, the reaction after now, Viddal? Like, now we are, 2.5 weeks removed from it. What's the reaction been from, like, friends, family, people in the street recognizing you? because of how big it was, right? Everyone says the Eubank Ben fight is one of the best British fights of all time. You were part of that, right? What's it been like for you?
It's been, you know what? It's been the same in the way of, well, no, I lie. It's not been the same. I've definitely got more attention. I've definitely got stopped more. I've definitely felt an increase in my popularity. But at the same time, I've been getting stopped on the street. So it's not the fame side of things isn't the change. It's more so the respect as a fighter and people just saying like, wow, you actually are one of those guys. Like, you can fight. I was blessed enough to be a part of the whole KSI process. So fame isn't new to me at this stage. This is not something I have to get used to. I believe if I didn't go through that process, British champion is where, as a normal person, no social media following, etc., that's when people start noticing you. You're like, oh my days, I'm famous. People know me. But I've felt that for the last 7 years. So now it's just like getting noticed in the way how I want to be. Feels good. It feels good, and it feels like the whole KSI trainer thing is just so far in the past now that no one's really gonna approach me on that. And people even ask me, when you gonna go back to coaching? So, you know, when I retire, I'm gonna have to pop out again as a coach, as a trainer.
We need you to stay with us for a few more years, because I think that the future is really
I've got
bright.
a few years. Don't worry.
Please. Remember, I got my 12 to 18 month vision for you. So let's get that done first.
For sure.
Indeed. You can do everything in the ring, right? I mean, we know you can punch, but I still think of you as a boxer mover. Considering that, how difficult was it with the canvas? Because I saw a lot of people slipping on that canvas, and I was like, someone's going to trip here and really hurt themselves. How difficult was that for you mentally? Because you slipped a couple of times on it.
That canvas was another thing to think about. There's a lot to think about, especially when you're fighting someone of that level, someone that you've trained weeks for, who requires dedication to defeat. You don't think throughout the whole camp, I'm going to fight this difficult opponent and the canvas is going to be slippery. So when I had to tackle that on the night, it did affect my game plan. There was a couple of mistakes that I made just because I'm human and people make mistakes. But there was a lot of things I could have capitalized on that I deliberately didn't, because I was afraid to slip. And I didn't want him to hit me in one of those periods. And then all of a sudden I'm getting a count. And it doesn't matter if you're hurt or you're not hurt or you complain to the ref, you start counting 10-8 round, 2 points down. I don't want to slip and pull a hamstring. I don't want to... There's so many things you're thinking, how slippery it was, there was many outcomes from that canvas that could happen. So I'm kind of fighting him thinking, okay, I'm winning, but I'm avoiding parts of the ring. I'm choosing not to do certain things here because if this happens here, that might happen. So it was an extra thing to think about, which was annoying. But I think my special ability is being able to adapt on the night to the situation. So we fought on the same canvas and I won.
Do you agree, by the way? Do you agree with that, his prediction? 12 to 18 months. He's putting that on you. Do you feel the same way?
I've learned to not put a time frame on things. I do understand why ADE says that, because based on everything being equal, all things being normal, 12 to 18 months, I should be there. But I am not going to set my mind on that, because life, I ain't going to swear on here, but yeah, life can be a pagan. So you just have to be better every day. You just have to be better every day, stay on the path, and then things will materialize when it does. But I've been that person talking about, yeah, in 2 years' time, I'm going to do this. By the time I'm this age, I'm going to do that. And then life says, yeah, you thought so, but it ain't happening. So how about that? So I just don't even like to fully indulge in the future. It sounds crazy, but it's true. Like, it's just not guaranteed. And even though our future can continue because we're alive, it still might not go how you want it to go. But with what ADE said, without being all philosophical, if everything does continue on the path that it is now, 12 to 18 months, he's right. I should be fighting at the top of the game.
I like philosophical Viddal, by the way. I like when you get deep. I do believe also, if you want to make God laugh, tell him your plans for the future. So that kind of goes in line with what you're saying.
Right.
At any point were you frustrated and thought, because it seemed like you might be just going down that influencer path, you were like, to hell with all this other stuff. Did you ever think that you would just be an influencer fighter, if you will, and not, a pro fighter, the path that you're on now?
I never thought that I would be an influencer fighter because I'm not a bully. I always say this. I'm not a bully. So for me to be an influencer fighter means that you signed up to be a bully. You've been boxing since you was 3-4 years old. And then because a couple big events happened, everyone jumped on this wave and said they want to be boxers. They're not boxers. So if you decide to go and fight them, then you're a bully. Like I'm not in fighting for bullying. I don't compete for it to feel one-sided. If we're playing a computer game and you're not any good at it, I'm not going to play you anymore. Like, it's a waste. Let's put down a controller. I'm trying to be challenged. So I would have never have been a crossover boxer, but I was strongly considering at one time just being a coach because I had a real good reputation in the industry. I could see that the industry was growing. And I did picture myself having JJ in the gym, KSI in the gym, and Eson Gibb in the gym, people that I knew coming through to my gym, and me just being like the Emmanuel Stewart of crossover boxing. Like, I did have that vision at one point. But then I saw how things were going, and I also believe I have a destiny to fulfill. And when I fully dived into that destiny, which is major credit to my dad, I said, all right, we know what we're here for, man. We got to throw the hands. You can't be the greatest coach ever at 22 years old. Like, it just sounds weird. You should be fighting yourself. So do
you look at your life, even at this young age, and think it's kind of a movie already, right? I mean, Tottenham, like, my brother was in North London, Tottenham, and how tough Tottenham and rough Tottenham can be. Then you go to America, you're with the Floyd Mayweather team. COVID hits, you're kind of locked out over there. Then KSI, and now this run. Like, there's already like 4 Viddal lives there already.
Listen, you better get 20th Century Fox up in here. Because now there's definitely a movie there. Sometimes when I sit down myself and I reflect on the things that I've been through, which I do belittle, because I think it's easy for us to get in a mode of reflection, and you can kind of become in awe or too disappointed on your past and where you've come from. So I try to just really continue moving forward. But when I have interviews or I watch old videos, I'm like, wow, like, you're literally from Tottenham, where you're supposed to be, you're subject to a certain life. People expect a certain amount from you. You've moved to you end up getting a following overnight. You move to America. You're signed to one of the best boxers ever. You move back. You end up getting signed to Sky. You have all these little fights where no one's expecting much of you. Everyone's telling you, oh, you should fight Tommy Fury. You should fight Tommy Fury. That you should do this. You should do that. And then now you're British champion. You got a podcast. You're doing all these things. And I'm just like, wow. It really has been a journey. But the best part about it is I'm not done yet. So it's just interesting to see how this story is going to end, man.
You know what it's like, Viddal, and I always feel bad every time someone puts on a great performance. I'm always thinking, okay, what next? I don't let you enjoy the performance. I don't let you, revel in such a good victory. What is next? Like, what's the ideal? You and Ben must have sat down, right? You should be right up there in terms of top of his thinking. Is it going to be a Jack Massey? Is it an Isaac Chamberlain? Do you go for the European champion, Mascara? Like, what's the ideal next for Viddal?
Well, you know what? Me and Ben are going to sit down, I think, later this week and actually wrap it up on what we should do next. I know what I want. I don't think I should be in any position where I'm not the co-main or main event on a normal card, We're not talking about the great, amazing new cars that we've been seeing from Ring Magazine and Turkey Al Sheikh. But just on a normal car on a normal day, like I don't think I should be anything lower than the co-main event. Like it's time to push into that phase where the star building happens.
Yeah.
You know I had to prove myself more than some of my peers because my journey into the game wasn't traditional, which means you got to prove a bit more. That's fine. That's cool with me. I knew I could always do that, but now I have proven it. I'm expecting to see some of the treatment that my peers have got, and I just feel like it's that time. Let's push Viddal to the world and say, yo, this guy's next up. Like the theme needs to be he's next up. I've proven I'm next up. Whether you do it or not, promo wise, the facts show I'm next up, and I'm not stopping. So I would like the energy from my network, from my promoter, to match what I've proven in the ring.
Two-parter to end. If Spurs lose to United, should Ange get sacked? And why is Brennan Johnson the greatest Spurs player of all time? Come on, Viddal. Come on. You know I got the stuff. Come on.
Should Ange get sacked? 16th in the league.
I think it's 17th. Yeah, 17th.
17th in the league is despicable. I can't lie.
Preach.
If he wins the Europa League, maybe you give him till January. If we don't win the Europa League, as much as I'm not the board of directors, I think we got to say, yo,
peace,
bro. Come on, man. Like, look at the stadium we have. Look at the events. Look at the size of the club. It's not acceptable to lose 20 times in a 38 game season. It's not acceptable.
It's crazy. It's crazy.
It's like a journeyman's record.
I know. I wouldn't know anything about that as a Forest fan. I mean, I know nothing about being 17th. Can you come on? Can you spit? I know you're a lyricist. Spit some bars for us before we go. Tell us about the state of your career. Where are you going to be in 12 months?
Where am I going to be in 12 months? Where am I going to be in 12 months? I don't know, man. You're asking me these futuristic questions.
No, I want you to say it in a freestyle form. I want you to in
a freestyle form
about who Viddal Riley is. Tell the world.
Wow, Ariel's putting pressure on you, right?
Yeah, hell yeah. You just fought in front of 60,000 people.
To say some bars that I've actually have. You're asking me to freestyle about the future, bro.
Okay, I was giving you a topic, but you can say whatever you want. She don't listen to UK rap.
Hey. Okay, so what can I say? Hold on. Let me think. Let me do this.
Okay, here we go.
All right.
Here it is.
Today was a mad day. 10 p.m. on Zoom with Ariel and ADE.
Woo.
I'm thinking, I like the look of this girl. She's a bad day.
Hey.
But then, if I don't get paid, it's a bad day.
Yeah. Go on, Viddal. Go on.
Come on.
I can't give you too much, man. I have to make sure you go to Spotify and listen to the actual music.
All right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
but you can see from there that I'm going to play with the words. I'm always going to play with the words.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. Well, you're playing with the words. You're playing with the opponents in the ring as well. You're doing tremendous stuff. Congratulations on the win a couple of weeks ago. Looking forward to seeing if ADE's prediction comes to fruition. I have a feeling it will. It's been a lot of fun to watch you climb up the ranks in Britain and now, of course, in the world. So thank you so much for staying up late with us. We appreciate it very much. And again, congrats on the big win.
Thanks for that,
man. Ariel, shout out to you always, man. I'm always looking at what you're doing. For years, I've looked at what you're doing, so it's good to be on your show.
Amen.
And ADE, of course, brother, I see you in person, and you've always been respectful to me. And now you've seen that I can deliver on my word. Yeah, man. Keep pushing the narrative, my guys.
I love it.
You know already.
Thank you so much, my man.
You,
appreciate it.
Thank you, bro.
There he is, the British Cruiserweight champion. Love that guy. First time I had a chance to speak to him at I get it. I'm on board. Can I jump on the bandwagon with you? Is there a spot for me?
Too late. No.
Too late?
No spot. Too late. Yeah, too late.
He's still pretty young. He's just a domestic
great
champ.
energy, though, right?
Yeah.
Great energy.
What a star. I get it. I absolutely get it. Okay, let's keep this train rolling along here in a matter of seconds. Look at this. Yeah, they're telling me he has over. Okay, yeah, he has over 1 million subs on YouTube. He's got the album. He's got the mixtapes. Yeah, he's got it all. He's got it all. We're talking about.
I saw the gold plaque. I saw the gold plaque behind him.
That's big league stuff.
Big. That's big league stuff. Yeah, that's big league stuff.
In a matter of moments, we will be joined by the man who broke everyone in Nottingham's heart over the weekend. He went in there, enemy territory. He got the job done. A brilliant performance, 9th round TKO. And ADE, he continues to level up. First, it's Fury Usyk card, the big win over Joe Cordina. Then it's Wembley, and now it's in Nottingham, beating the Nottingham guy who, by the way, I think off the top of my head was 11-1 in Nottingham when he fought there, Lee Wood. So that's a gigantic win for Anthony Cacace. If you aren't a believer, you better be a believer now. He's kind enough to join us. He's the super featherweight champion who is staying up late with us here on the program. Hello, Anthony. How are you? Thank you for doing this.
Look at that beard. Look at that beard as well. Isn't that beard just fantastic? Look at that.
Let's took away. They look that good. I'm great. How are you?
Doing great. And I, too, enjoy your beard very much. It's a beautiful looking beard. You're doing big things, my man. And another big night for you. By the way, is it possible to rank those three? I feel like those were the three seminal moments of your career so far. May in Riyadh, September Wembley, this past weekend in Nottingham. How would you rank those moments for you in your life?
Well, nothing can beat Joe Cordina in Saudi. That was an unbelievable experience. Everything to do with their experience was just top class. Saudi, first time being there, blew my mind. It was treated very well. And then to go out there and win the IBF title was just unreal.
Yeah, what a moment and what a performance. Once again,
that was number one, definitely.
What was it like being like true? In Riyadh, yeah, maybe Cordina was the more established fighter, but it was sort of neutral territory. Wembley, I understand. Okay, maybe not, but it was so big, it was hard to really get a gauge of the crowd and the atmosphere. But on Saturday, you were very much in enemy territory. What was that experience like for you?
To be honest, that was the first time I've kind of experienced anything like it. I think it was 10,000 people in attendance, and I'd say a good 8,000 were against me booing. But to be honest, I loved it. I fed off the boos, and again, it's another experience ticked off. I always wanted to go into the Lion's Den and to fight a good fighter, and I've done that in Lee Wood. 3 on the trot. I feel like I've dusted off the UK scene, so on big fights from here.
What's it like, Anthony? All this coming to you late in your career, like Frank spoken about you for years, right, as being the guy. But it's all coming now. You're 36, although it's funny, I was talking to Carl Frampton. He says you fight like you're 26. So he actually thinks you still got so much more left in the tank. But what's it like, all the success now coming towards the back end of your career, if you like?
It's dead on. It's dead on. I'm just very, very grateful and lucky to be in this position. Thank God. I suppose I've still got a lot of megs on the clock. I haven't had the toughest of fights. I've been in these wars, the types like Lee Wood would be in or Warrington have been in over the years. I feel like I'm a fresh 36, so I'm just going to keep going until I can't. Really, I'm putting off these performances. Everyone thinks I'm going to get beaten. And I'm going and doing the job in their hometowns and abroad. So let's keep doing what I'm doing, man.
You said that the Joe Cordina one was the best out of the 3, and I agree. Right, IBF title fight. I remember your reaction. I interviewed you in the ring after. Your emotion was incredible. But in terms of performance, was Saturday gone the best performance? Because the way you were switch hitting, and Lee we know has got the power, and you showed that you got the power as well. Was that the better performance of the 3?
It was a good performance. I mean, I still feel like I've got a lot better to give. My problem is, I probably give too much respect to all my opponents when really I believe I'm the top dog at this weight. There's nobody hits as hard as me. I mean, everyone I'm hitting, I don't know why, but they're all getting hurt. So there's a reason why I'm sitting in this position, and I believe that I'm ticking all the boxes, even at this age.
Were you surprised that his corner threw in the towel? Ben Davison throwing in the towel in the 9th. Were you surprised when they did that?
No, not really. I mean, I heard Lee saying in previous interviews, about his health, and and the damage would take in fights, which is very true. So I knew he was very aware, and the corner would have been very aware. He's 36, 6 months older than me, so I thought the corner was bang on. It was the correct decision. Ben was on the ball, and if it would have kept going on, Lee could have got badly hurt.
What about when you came to the realization? I believe one of the judges had him up going into the ninth.
Crazy.
What did you think when you saw that?
I actually thought it was a joke, to be honest. I mean, someone said, "Oh, was it?" I can't even remember his name. Steve Gray had you. Like, I mean, it just really shows you that there's some stinking moves happening in boxing, and like, it's not nice, because at the end of the day, we're the athletes, and we're slaving away 12 weeks and whatnot in training camp, wrecking our bodies and putting ourselves through mental friggin' torture. So it's like, to try and do that on the night to somebody and their dreams, I think it's just disgusting.
After the fight, there's been some talk about his future, and I know that's obviously not for you to determine, but before the fight, he was sort of hinting at the fact that he maybe has 12 or so months left. After being there in the ring with him, do you think we see Lee Wood fight again?
To be honest, listen, he's a great fighter. He's done great things. I'm sure that he's financially secure, so I feel, it's his personal decision. It's not really for me to say. But if I was to give him a bit of advice, I'd say, why not just hang him up and move on? He's had his best days. He moved up in weight, had a crack, didn't work out for him, but fair play. Enjoy your kids and your family.
I think you're one of the biggest super featherweights I've seen. I think you're massive. It's your shoulders. Your shoulders look really big every time I see you. At the weigh-in, I'm like, oh my God, he looks like he's about to die. And then when I see you on fight night, you rehydrate. Can you still keep making super feather? Is there a talk maybe of going to lightweight and getting one of those big Americans to Belfast? Or do you still think you can hang around at super feather?
Listen, I'm up for moving up the lightweight, no problem. I mean, I'm still making super featherweight handy enough. I've been doing it for years, so it's down to professionalism and discipline and the hard work that I put in that I can do it still. But if I can get one of these big fights at lightweight, with Shakur Stevenson, I mean, who else is there? Tank Davis, these are all big fights that I would love to entertain, and they're the fights that I've got into boxing for. So to be in something like that in America, Las Vegas or something like that would just be unbelievable.
That would be the proper Cinderella story to your story, right? Again,
Absolutely.
Considering the ups and downs, all the negative, and now all this, I think you going to America and the Belfast lot would travel. I think you know that. As much as there was 10,000 in there, your lot, and they stayed until after the fight, that little pocket of about 500 sounded like about 5,000 in there. So they would love a night out in Vegas. More likely, though, is a fight in Belfast, right? O'Shaquie Foster's name's been mentioned. I think it's a fight that can be made. Is that where we're looking to head to, really, the WBC champion?
I mean, O'Shaquie, he's a great champion, but he's not really a massive draw. You know what I mean? He's not getting these big fights out in America. The belt's kind of stale, sitting there, not doing too much. So it would be great to have him over to Belfast. I genuinely believe that I'd have beat him, and I beat him in the same fashion that I beat Cordina and Wood. So it would be a great opportunity for me in front of my home crowd. But again, as I say, I would also love a big away day, a Vegas or America or something like that. One of these things that most fighters have dreamt of is to go over to America and finish off a couple of last big fights with these big names. I mean, I feel like I really have taken out every big name in the UK, and featherweight and super featherweight. So I think that's kind of the least I deserve at this stage in my career.
One thing you did do after the fight, as much as I was giving you all the plaudits, you turned around and you kind of pointed at every single one of your team members. And you're like, no, he does this and he does this. And it's a fantastic team you've got as well, isn't it? I mean, we look at boxing as just one-on-one battle, but it really is a whole army behind you. Speak about your team quickly.
Yeah, listen, I've got the great people around me. I've got Mickey Hawkins Sr., who's very well respected and two-time Olympic coach. Everyone in Ireland knows the name. I have him in my corner. I have his son, young Michael Jr. I have Rory Dalvin. He does the S&C, and basically anything that I need, he does it. And then Barry O'Neill does the pad work, and I've just got an amazing team. Everyone's selfless. Anything I need, it's always covered. I mean, it's all like, I know it is. It's a lonely sport, and I have to do the fighting. But outside of that, everything's kind of sorted and set out for me. So it's a lot down to them as well, So that's why I like to give them all a wee shout out and let everyone know exactly who they are for what they do.
Can I ask, why is your nickname the Apache?
I got that a long time ago, basically at the start of my career when I was in McGuigan's gym. Brian McGuigan gave me that.
Any particular reason?
It ran with Cacace.
Okay. All right. I didn't know if there was some sort of like historical lineage, or you come from an Apache tribe.
No. I'm not nothing like that. It's
okay.
Just that.
Well, it rhymes and it sounds good. By the way, I know you were busy on Saturday, but speaking of Northern Ireland and Belfast and the SSE Arena, did you happen to see Paul Hughes and his performance on Saturday? The arena was electric for his win.
Yeah, he sold it out too. I mean, Paul's an absolute gentleman, and an absolute beast as well. So he's pretty local. He only trains up the street from where I'm living. So, I mean, we're all behind Paul Hughes as well, and hopefully he can get that big fight again with, I can't actually pronounce his name.
Nurmagomedov.
Nurmagomedov.
There it is.
So hopefully he can get that done. And look, the Irish are taking over in every sport. We're the men to beat. So
yep. Well, I hope you get a scene like that back home as well. I know you say you want an away game, if you will, but you deserve that as well. That kind of scene. Congratulations on the big win. As a Forest supporter, I was sad that the locals went home unhappy, but it's amazing to see what you've been doing, especially as somewhat of a underdog, unheralded. You weren't supposed to do what you did to Joe Cordina, and you continue to level up. So it's a beautiful story to watch. Congratulations and enjoy it. Thank you for joining us, Anthony.
Very much appreciate it. Thank you.
Cheers. There he is, Anthony the Apache Cacace. I love it. Why are you known as the Apache? Because it rhymes with Cacace. All right, cool.
Simple.
Yeah,
simple. Some people have all these fantastic sort of nicknames and gimmicks, and that one's it just rhymes. But that dude can fight.
What was honestly, it like there at the Motor Point? What was it like? What was the scene like when he went in there and broke everyone's heart?
Incredible. Like the noise, I tried to be professional, but the fan in me just starts laughing. Like the noise when Lee Wood came out, I was like, this is just insane. But to be fair, as I said to Anthony there, like he had, I think, a pocket of like 500 sort of fans that flew over from Belfast, and they were making a racket as well. So it wasn't Lee Wood, Michael Conlon like, but you could hear Cacace's fans, but then he silenced the Forest fans so quick. And they're smart fans. They know their boxing. I think they could see that Lee Wood was in over his head a little bit here because Cacace just looked too big, too strong, too fresh, and too powerful. Like his knockout record is quite deceiving. That was his 9th knockout in nearly 30 fights. And you can tell that he punches harder than that. Like Carl Frampton, who used to spar him, says that Cacace hit him harder than anyone, sparring all real fights. So he's got a lot to offer. And I'm with him. I'd like to see him go over to America and have a go at one of the big names. But I think the plan is for a fight in Belfast. So either way, he's winning.
By the way, shout out to Carl Frampton. I love that he joined DAZN, another great Northern Irishman. It was a great scene. Yep. It was a great card. I do believe that there have been a lot of great nights in that arena. And I think that was, you said, your 5th, 4th? Wait, how many times? Yeah, how many times have you been there?
Oh, I'm going to say the 5th. I think that's my 5th time. I think, all of them have been for Lee Wood.
And is that the first time you see him lose there?
No, he lost to Mauricio Lara.
Okay, you were there too. Well. Okay, yeah.
I was there for that one, and I was also there for the rematch where he won. So I was there for that. I was there for Josh Warrington. I was there for Michael Conlon, and obviously on Saturday.
Was nuts. Conlon fight is one of the best fights I've ever seen.
Dude, it was crazy.
Insane.
That fight. And I think that was the problem for Lee. He's almost had to go to the well too many times. And there is a time you're going to go to the well when it's dry. There's nothing there. And unfortunately, that was the case on Saturday. But he has got the kind of built-in excuse that I was out the ring for 19 months, and that's fair. And that's why I feel like, as much as I want him to call it quits, I think he might have one more just to really see, okay, let me have one more in 6 or 7 months' time, and then I will know. No one wants to go out like that the way he did on Saturday, so I feel like there's going to be one more knock for him.
Okay, so I was just going to ask you that. And so it sounds like perhaps you bill it as the retirement fight. Could you imagine?
Yeah.
It would be nice. I hate to see him get beat up like that, but if the retirement fight could be at the City Ground, that would be the perfect one. I don't know if it will happen at this point, but maybe you bill it as the retirement fight, not against a champion, not a winnable fight, but
you go Josh Warrington again.
Oh yeah.
I mean, their fight was up and down.
Yeah.
It was all over the place. And if you're going to go the City Ground, you need someone that can help you sell it. Like, I mean, Lee's got a big fan base, but the City Ground, you're talking 30,000. You get Josh Warrington in there with these Leeds fans, and all of a sudden you fill that place out. And it will almost be a final fight for both of them. So I feel like if you're going to do one, you do Josh versus Lee at the City Ground, and it's their retirement fight for both. And I think that could work. Anyone else, I just feel like there isn't a big enough want or a big enough pull for it to go to the City Ground. Josh Warrington, you can go there.
By the way, didn't Warrington tell you at Wembley that he was done after the Cacace loss?
Pretty much, yeah. Not only did he tell me he was done, he took his gloves off and put him down on the canvas.
Yeah. So now you're trying to bring him back?
No, he had a fight after. He's had a fight. He had a fight.
Oh, that's right.
4 or 5 weeks ago.
That's right.
So he's back.
Yeah.
I don't want to see Josh fight again as well. It's another fight that's entertained me for so many years. But again, I get it. I understand. It kind of goes back to, on a different scale, the Manny Pacquiao talk. Fighters won't retire. The sport has to retire them, because fighters will always think there's one more. And I feel like Lee might think that as well after Saturday.
Yes, Asad Asif Khan. How can I forget? That's my bad. What about the rest of the card? Anyone stick out to you as far as performances, big names coming up, prospects, ones to look out for from that card?
Ezra Taylor is definitely one to look out for in the light heavyweight division, now trained by Malik Scott. And when you think of sort of that passing the baton for Lee Wood to another Nottingham boy, a Nottingham born and bred boy, Ezra Taylor is that guy. He came out chief support, so he got a really good reception from the Nottingham fans as well. He fought a guy called Troy Jones, who was unbeaten. And Ezra looked good, got the job done. Struggled, I think, in the early rounds, but then just seemed to adapt and find a way. And in the end, maybe unlucky not to force a stoppage in the final round. But he's got everything. He's got the look. He speaks well. He's a good-looking kid as well. And the light heavyweight division in the UK is stacked from like 1 to 15. So there's so many good fights out there for him. And I don't know if you know this, but they're already trying to build a Ben Whittaker versus Ezra Taylor down the line. So that's probably one to look out for next year. I have a feeling those guys could lock horns. But he's got all the star quality. Plus, he's got a trainer that we know. And he's obviously got Frank Warren behind him as well. So Ezra Taylor's one to look out for in the next sort of 12 to 18 months, I believe.
All right, let's move along, ADE, and let's stick with the British boxing theme, and let's focus on most valuable promotions. We've been talking about this for the last few weeks. They have really gone all in on women's boxing. It's very clear. Yeah. And at first, maybe they were, going down the influencer route. They are not that. They are not misfits. They are not an influencer promotion. They are really going all in on the women's game. And I think it's brilliant, because how do you try to differentiate yourself from everyone else? Okay, there's this push, there's a dearth of talent. Try to scoop everyone up. And, they had an announcement a few weeks back where they signed the likes of Ellie Scottney, and they've got this big card here in New York on July 11th. Well, just yesterday we find out they've added 2 pretty big names, Chantel Cameron, who has the win over Katie Taylor, and Savannah Marshall, who's, one of the best fighters in the world, pound for pound. What do you think of what MVP is doing as far as trying to sign all the biggest names in women's boxing?
I think it's fantastic. I almost feel like female boxing, and a lot of people are giving me stick for saying this, but I do feel like there was a massive high 3-4 years ago when we got Alicia Baumgartner versus Michaela Mayer, and we got obviously Clarissa versus Savannah, and the first fight between Amanda and Katie. I feel like it dipped a little bit. I feel like promoters almost either lost interest or didn't know what to do. And so you've got so many fantastic female fighters just out there waiting. Savannah's a great example. Savannah Marshall. Like, what's she doing? She hasn't done anything. And
Cameron
she's an incredible
too, by the way.
talent.
Cameron too.
Yeah, exactly. Cameron too. So you got 2 pound for pounders who've literally just been sitting on their hands waiting for the call for a big fight. All of a sudden, you've got someone like MVP that are going to put, everything behind them. And that's what Jake and Cacace are really good at. Obviously, Amanda Serrano helps as well. So I think it's really, really good. And they will give it the push that it needs. And just the excitement on their voices. I look at both of their social media pages, and they're ready to go. They're itching to go. So hopefully, I'd almost say give all the females to MVP so we can make all the fights. Honestly, Sandy Ryan, Michaela Meyer, everyone. So we can really make the fights, because I just want to see these girls fight, because they're entertaining fights. These 10 2-minute rounds are fantastic. Honestly, thoroughly entertaining. And we need to see more of them. I feel like everyone has just slipped a little bit.
Clarissa Shields would be the biggest draw. She's gone back and forth with Baumgartner, with Serrano. But if they can somehow do business with her, that would be tremendous. Serrano, Baumgartner, Marshall, Scottney, Cameron, Dina Thorsland, who's going to be competing on that July 11th card, Shadeja Green, Ramla Ali, Tamara Tebow, the Olympian, Sharetta Metcalf. Like they've got a stable here. In addition to everything else that they're doing, they've got their prospects and whatnot. Like at this point, anyone who says that Jake and Cacace are bad for boxing, if you're still holding on to that, if that's still your mission statement, you're missing the whole point. This is great. And by the way, if you're one of those women on the outside looking in, I would have to imagine, like, even the things that they do with their social media, the posters, the videos, the announced videos, like it's really high level stuff. You'd have to say to yourself, like, no, can I get that?
You'll be waiting for that phone call.
Yeah.
You'll literally be waiting for the phone call. You'll be speaking to your management team like, okay, look, I mean, can we just shake on it and let me move on, because I'm not getting anything. I'm not getting any dates. And you mentioned Clarissa there. And look, I think Clarissa, sort of pound for pound, is the best female fighter there is. I'd argue Katie's the GOAT because of Katie's resume. But in terms of just ability, I think Clarissa's incredible. She's got a fight planned. She's got a fight coming up. And I don't mean to be disrespectful to her opponent, but these are not the fights that Clarissa wants to be in. I mean, if we're brutally honest, she wants to be in high-level fights, big-name fights. They've just signed Savannah Marshall. Can we get this on again, please?
Yeah.
Can we put all the politics to the side about, this? And Savannah's there, and I want to see Savannah versus Clarissa. The first fight was competitive. Yeah, Clarissa won it by a couple of rounds, but it was a good fight. Let's get that on again. Again, we don't want to see the fights that she's having at the moment. We just don't, if we're being honest. I mean, the lady she fought, the heavyweight fight, where the lady only had 5 fights or something. I don't want to see that. I want to see competitive fights for Clarissa, because I think Clarissa, again, is incredible. She will sell. Can you imagine the link up with Clarissa, Nikisa, and Jake?
Yeah.
What that would do in terms of the promotion? It would be through the roof. And I desperately want to see it for Clarissa, because she deserves to be in big fights on big platforms and just really just doing what she does. And at the moment, it's gone a bit stale for her.
Couldn't agree more. In case you're wondering, it's Lanny Daniels, July 25th at Little Caesars.
IBF light heavyweight champion.
In Detroit. She's 11-2-2. So it's not exactly like earth-shattering stuff. Yeah, she deserves that kind of push. She deserves that kind of stage, that kind of promotion. And it feels like they're gobbling up all the names. Obviously, Katie is still with Matchroom, and she'll never leave Matchroom. She probably doesn't have a lot of fights left. But other than that, like they're gobbling up the entire top 10. And I think it's a really interesting strategy on their part. And I'm excited to see where they go from here. Let's turn our attention to this weekend, May 17th. Another big one on DAZN. And the headliner, the one on the marquee, is the big rematch between the Rumford Bull himself, the leader of the Bosch Army, Johnny Fisher, going up against Dave Allen. They had that controversial bout back in Riyadh, end of the year. A lot of people thought Allen won the fight. You were there. Fisher gets the nod. They had to run it back. This time, not in Riyadh. It's at the Copper Bosch, a.k.a. the Copper Box Arena, and the scene is going to be unbelievable. And I do have to give props once again to Matchroom, to their marketing team over there. They did a great face-to-face with the two of them. Did you happen to see this while they're playing cards?
Of course I did.
There's a wonderful exchange here between the two of them. When you watch it, you're like, this is brilliant. And credit to the both of them, in addition to the marketing team for putting it together. In case you missed it, here's a fun little taste.
The body shots were good. I thought he did some amazing things for experience. I thought, this is great. I thought, I was talking you through the fight all the way through. I was talking you through it. Is the man in front of me any good at boxing? I think you're okay, to be honest. I think I think we are British title level around that.
That's
mix.
more than okay for me. Fucking hell.
That's okay. Okay, no, I say okay because we're talking boxing.
Yeah.
You're a great athlete, phenomenal athlete. Like you say, you're playing rugby. You're a good athlete, good, fast, strong, powerful, good. I would say great athlete, okay boxer. I'm a good athlete, very good boxer.
Very good.
I would say. So I'm not having a dig at you.
I know.
You've had 12 amateur fights and how many pro fights? You can't be any good. You can't be any good. It's just impossible. I'm not even digging. People are watching, looking at him digging away. I'm not
it's
digging.
Not dig, no,
it's impossible to be any good.
But for me, a British title is an unbelievable achievement.
No, but what I'm saying is, if you were to win a British title tomorrow, it wouldn't be from your boxing ability, it'd be from being a good athlete and a good puncher.
But I'll still be the British heavyweight.
You'll still be the British champion, yeah. But that question was, are you a good boxer? The question is, okay.
Yeah.
ADE, I don't need to tell you this, but the people at home need to understand this. The way that was shot was brilliant, the lighting, the look, everything. But for the two of them to sit there and engage like that and have that kind of discussion without a moderator in the middle, you've been there, I've been there, others have been there as well. That was brilliant stuff. Like Dave Allen was amazing, and Johnny as well. I found that to be riveting. I loved everything. Everything about that was brilliant. A+.
Yeah, no, honestly, fantastic. Like as you say, we've both been in the middle doing those face-offs, and I've always said some fights don't need a face-off, or some fights don't need a moderator. This is clearly one that didn't need a moderator. These guys have known each other for a while. They were never going to throw chairs at each other or swing. They were going to have a discussion. And Dave Allen was fantastic. Dave Allen's almost taking on the role of the bad guy in here. And it was almost, that little clip was almost like bullying Johnny Fisher. And it felt like Johnny Fisher was sinking in the chair. But I can't wait for it. It's going to be, like, I've done a few fights of Johnny at the Copper Box. I've done his last one against Alan Babbage, which was just insane. The noise that those Romford fans just bring is crazy. And I can't wait for it. There was a lot of talk about it going to the O2 Arena, a bigger arena. I think this is perfect. It's more intimate. I think you get about 8,000 or 9,000 in there. I believe it's nearly sold out. So I think this is going to be an incredible atmosphere. It's going to be an incredible fight as well. The first fight was really good. Both of them were shattered at the end. I think this time round, both will be a bit fitter, and I'm expecting this one not to go the distance.
Would you agree all the pressure is on Fisher's shoulders here? He has to win emphatically, right? Decisively.
Yeah, he has to win. He's just got to win. And look, to be fair,
but a
Johnny,
close decision almost isn't enough, right?
I don't know. Like, Dave Allen's the type of fighter where on his day, and again, if you go and watch that full clip, and he kind of says a few things there, on his day, he's very, very good. He's just not really been committed to the sport. It's almost been 1 foot in, 1 foot out. When he's committed, he's a bit of a problem for a lot of heavyweights. And this is what was always a risk taking this. I think they took this fight initially, hoping that maybe Dave Allen isn't committed, but yet he got up for it. So I don't think it's a foregone conclusion. At this stage, if I'm Team Fisher, I take any win. I was with you. I was like, okay, Johnny's got to knock him out. Now I'm like, if I'm Johnny, just win. Just win, move on, and people will forget about it. He might go life and death. I think he's going to have another gut check in this one because Dave Allen's big, he's strong, he's a better boxer, he can punch as well. I think this is going to be very, very tight again. I'm edging to Johnny just because of the home fans and the home base. And
to be clear, I believe we spoke about it when it went down, but you thought Allen won the first fight, right? I did.
Yeah. It's such I actually think it's such an easy fight to score. I know Team Fisher are not too happy with others saying that they thought Dave won, but I think it's an easy fight to score. I think Dave Allen won it. I think Johnny started well. What Johnny has done in the past is touch people and they've fallen over. That powerful, right? Because you're fighting journeyman, you can just destroy it. I think he was surprised about how Dave Allen was able to kind of soak up the punches. And let's not forget as well, Dave Allen put him down in that fight too. So Johnny Fisher showed a lot of heart to get up and continue and sort of find something about himself. I think this is going to be a much better Johnny Fisher, but it's going to be tough, man. I'm telling you now, this is going to be tough. Dave Allen still has, and I'm shocked, but he still has something left to offer.
Well, that's on Saturday on DAZN. On Friday on DAZN, we have the one that everyone's been waiting for. We have the return of Darren Till going up against Darren Stewart. It's the battle of the Darrens. In one of the all-time great posters, if I do say so myself, Do you think they were all wearing suits, or do you think there's Photoshop involved here? It's
Yeah,
blinders
I
and
think it's fair to
brawls.
say their heads. Yeah, I think their heads have just been put on people's suits.
Okay.
But no, who cares? Who cares, right?
Blinders and brawls. Idris Virgo on the bill as well. So perhaps every time I go on X, it feels like he's trying to pick a fight with someone. So
Dude,
I'm sure
all the time.
He's delighted that he's got an assignment.
He's another one, by the way. I mean, not too dissimilar to Viddal Riley.
Yep.
Yeah, where I almost feel like, and I don't want to shout, I don't want to pick him out here, but he shouldn't be fighting on Misfits. I think he's good enough to actually go for it. I mean, he's unbeaten in his pro career prior to Misfits. And I almost feel like I get it why he's doing Misfits. I can understand the money's there and it makes sense. You get a big push, right? He was fighting under KSI, et cetera, et cetera. But I almost feel like he could now remove himself and let's see what he's got. In maybe the light heavyweight division or super middleweight division, I think he can make 168. But I'd like to see him actually go for it. Because sometimes I watch him in these Misfits events, and I think it'll be a bit different this fight because he's fighting someone that can actually fight back. But I do sometimes feel like he's far too above a lot of the people in Misfits.
Look, I think one of the stories to watch if you're interested in this path in the sport of boxing is the future of Misfits. In that KSI banged up, he hasn't been able to fight. Has the influencer well dried up? Darren Till isn't your typical influencer. Stewart coming out of retirement. The names aren't quite the same, and so I'm curious to see.
You know what happened, Ariel? Obviously, I covered the first 10, and I think the influencers started thinking they were boxers rather than still be influencers. So it's almost like they got all these people from the YouTube world and the Instagram world, and these people were, prior to boxing, putting out so much content, and hence why they became these stars to go on Misfits. All of a sudden, they start boxing, and they now have turned into like pro boxers with camps and teams. I'm like, well, no, you're still supposed to influence. You're still supposed to do your YouTube content like KSI does and everything else. And they seem to have forgotten that. So, I mean, look, there are still content creators out there that want to box and influencers, so to speak, that want to box, but they've got to realize what they were first. And I think a lot of them have forgotten about that.
I agree. Amen. I mean, the biggest one we haven't gotten, right? The biggest one of them all isn't anywhere near happening, and that's Jake Paul versus KSI. All right, ADE, time now for your favorite segment of the week, presented by, once again, our good friends over at Final Destination Bloodlines. Look at us. Look at us, ADE. Any guesses?
Still no tickets.
Any guesses? Any guesses as to what our parting shot is? Come on.
I am going to... Well, it's got to be Cacace Wood, no?
Yeah, one would say.
No, it's got to be that. It's got to be that way. The stumbling onto the ropes.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it was something else. Of course, it is not Cacace defeating Lee Wood. It's BKFC Salt Lake City. Look at this.
Wait, what is that? It's always... What's he doing? Look
at this. Look at this.
I don't want to laugh.
One knockdown. Jordan Smith knocking down Jose Naldo Silva. 2 knockdowns. This is in round 2. Now we go to round 3, another knockdown. So we're en route to a knockout win, right? No, he gets knocked out. He gets knocked out. Jordan Smith knocked out by Jose Naldo Silva. Look at that punch, clean.
On the button. Does he have a history of doing this? Like, normally if a guy goes down 3 times, the referee calls it.
Okay, you're asking me like I'm some sort of connoisseur as to who these guys are. I mean, I know who Jose Aldo is and Anderson Silva.
You keep talking BKFC every week. You talk BKFC every single week.
Because they give us knockouts every week. They're the ones giving us the clean, crazy knockouts.
Did I read that Andrei Arlovsky's back in BKFC?
BKFC, yep.
See, this is my problem.
Why?
This is my problem. Because I said to you, I'm on board when it's young fighters. I said this to you. Like,
I know.
When it's young fighters, I'm on board. Andrei Arlovsky must be like 46 years old.
Listen, Aaliyah once said, age ain't nothing but a number.
It is in fighting sports.
It is. I mean,
it is in fighting
sports. To go back to the beginning of the show,
he's
Manny Pacquiao.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a concerning one. I mean, there was a period maybe like legit 14, 13 years ago where Arlovsky was getting knocked out in consecutive fights, and I thought he'd be done then. I'm talking like Strikeforce days, 2011. And now here he is.
Remember when he was the best heavyweight? Remember when he had his long hair and the fangs?
Oh, yeah. God, my people.
He was fantastic.
Yeah, he will be coming back. Anyway, I like the BKFC knockouts because they are the true definition of a parting shot. I mean, you can't beat that. You can't beat that kind of action. No, and you can watch it exclusively right here on the undisputed global home of not just boxing, but bare knuckle fighting as well. DAZN.
And Club World Cup.
Club World Cup coming up in
14th of June.
Yes, in a month.
Yeah.
Can't wait.
Wow.
So a lot to be excited about. Well done. Well done. Shil Ade, company man.
Pay me the big bucks. I will say whatever you want me to say, people. Pay me the money and I will say.
Are you working the Club
I am
World?
working it. I am. Yes.
You're coming over to the States?
I am. Yes.
Breaking news. Hit the music,
Yeah,
Frankie. Yeah. Well, are you going to be doing the show in studio then?
Yeah, I guess, because obviously the quarterfinal, semi-final, and final were in New York. So, of course.
Thanks for telling us.
Oh, sorry. Sorry.
Something to look out for. Okay.
Yes,
Very exciting. Can I get some tickets myself?
Yeah, that's what I can
Final
do.
at MetLife? I'll be there.
I've been asking for Final Destination tickets for like 3 weeks now, and you've been
All
kind
right,
of.
I'll make you a deal. We'll get you Final
want MetLife
Destination tickets. You get us Club World Cup final tickets. All right? Deal?
Deal,
All right.
Ariel.
Deal.
Yeah.
All right. Great stuff, my man. Great fun as always. That does it for us, my friends. Thank you very much to our two guests today. Tremendous stuff from Anthony the Apache Cacace and Viddal Riley. Spinning some bars for us. Put him on the spot, but I thought he came through, just like he did a couple weeks ago at Spurs Stadium. So well done to them. Thank you to all of you. If you missed the beginning due to the audio issues, we'll sort it out. No problem. Go to the app right now. It's all up there. Show them some love as well. Give us a thumbs up. Subscribe. Download the audio. All the things that they say help us out, I'm told to say to you as well. So thank you very much to Final Destination Bloodlines in theaters this weekend. Go check them out. Support them because they support us, and we'll be back next week. Enjoy the fights, my friends. Talk to you next week.